Okay, grace and peace from our Lord Jesus Christ. This is Sister Liberty, and I am back here in Revelation. So, we talked about last time how when Christ comes back, he's going to come as a thief in the night. Not like a thief, but as a thief. Meaning, when you think about a thief or a robber, they're going to make their move when they believe that person or those people will least expect for them to show up or to break in. A wise and a smart thief is not going to show up when he knows he's going to be seen or caught, but he comes when no one is watching. He comes when no one is sober in their minds. No one is attentive. He comes at a time where he knows the coast is clear. And so Jesus, when he comes back, he's going to come back at an hour where we will least expect him. That's why he says no man knows the hour or the time. Because if you know that hour that the thief is going to come, then you'll be more prepared, you'll be more ready. And so God knows the hearts of men. He knows that if the word of God left us with a record that says, hey, Jesus Christ is coming back in 2012. He's coming back 12/12/12. Then, of course, people will be prepared and ready. All of those who live their lives, as a bad person. Let's say the year was 12/12/2012. As the time drew near, people would know that in those final hours, they would need to get themselves right with the Lord, right? But that wouldn't be fair. That would not be just. If God did that, that would not be fair to let us live a life of wickedness, live a life of sin, just to know that he's coming back at this time and that we can be ready. No, he doesn't let us know the specific time, but he does tell us what will be the signs of his return. He said we must watch and pray and keep our garments clean. One of the things that I mentioned about the garments being clean is that Satan can see who's dressed appropriately. He can see whether you have on the garments of damnation or whether you have on the garments of praise, whether you have on the garments of the Father. He can see. And so the defilement of the garments represents the lifestyle of the person. This person, their garments are a way because of the way they are. So your garments are a reflection of what's in your heart. So if your heart is filled with all kind of imagination, all kind of evil imaginations, all kinds of things that you partake in and that you allow in, then your heart is a reflection of what's on your garments. And so if your garments are defiled, it's because your heart is defiled, and Satan can see that. So Jesus says that lest they see your nakedness and your shame, you be shamed. Yeah, the enemy knows those who are real and those who are fake. He knows those who are for God and those who are not for God. He can see those things. So today we are going to be in Revelation 17, and we are going to be discussing the mystery Babylon. Now, over the years, there have been several different teachings, several different experience, meaning people have had dreams, people have had visions of this mystery Babylon and what's going to become of her, the destruction, the poverty, the war, the famine. Many people have had different testimonies of what's actually going to occur. Even myself, I have had different dreams of what's going to happen. And people may want to know, well, who is the mystery Babylon? What is the mystery Babylon? Let's read about that. Let's read about what this angel begins to talk to John about in Revelation 17. He says, and there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come here, I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. He says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy. So when, I don't know, but it's coming to my mind, like when I think about the wilderness, I think about it being an isolated place. A place where, you know, it can be dark sometimes. You know, it can be scary sometimes. It's the forest. It's the forest. It's the woods. It's the wilderness. Meaning it's a place where things are not as they were before. Think about the children of Israel that were in the wilderness. Things were different, meaning they did not have everything that they needed. And I'm going somewhere, so stay with me. I know that was like, what they call it, I know that was a, I can't even think of the name. That was a boot. But the wilderness represents a certain season. So the fact that John had to be taken into the wilderness shows that this woman and this beast has isolated themselves. They are away for a time. John was in the wilderness for a time, meaning John the Baptist was in the wilderness for a time. So it's a isolated place. It's a deserted place, or it can be. And so he said that he saw her sitting on this scarlet colored beast. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the color scarlet is red, or a kind of red, or close to red. I don't know. But it says that this beast was full of names of blasphemy. So that means it was full of all kinds of bad, evil, unholy, you know, unrighteous names that were damnable. Names that were damnable. And it says, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And it said, the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. The purple represents royalty. And the red, or scarlet, which I think the scarlet is red. Normally in the world, you know, when someone wears red, that color red normally represents like a sassiness, sexuality, like a hottiness, a hotness when you see the color red. And so you can already see that this woman has that on her. She has a form of royalty, meaning she's queen, but she also has like a hottiness to her because the way she's dressed, and she's decked with gold and precious stones. So I almost think of someone who's like a prostitute, who can seduce people, who can attract people with how they dress, because you know, people's appearance can attract. We know that that's true because of the influence in the world. You see one celebrity, you know, wearing a particular thing, a peculiar thing, and next thing you know, people start picking up the trend. People start following the trend of that celebrity or of that idol, whether it's their hair, whether it's the type of way they wear their shirt or their pants. People will pick that up because attire, the way we dress, that attracts. And so she's attractive. The way that she's dressed, the way that she's that's attractive. And it says, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. It says this is written upon her forehead. So that's right here, written upon her forehead. It's interesting that it's right there because that's the first thing that you see when you see a person's face, is all of this right here. So this is on her forehead. And it says, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So many of us believe the Mystery Babylon is North America, what we call the United States of America, or the USAA. There are a lot of different principles and morals that our nation was once founded upon. Our nation was once founded upon Christian morals, Christian standards, Christian rights. But over time, that has changed. And in our different changes, we have influenced other nations. great influence on other nations. That's one of the different things that our Statue of Liberty represents. It represents freedom. It represents the fights and the war that we had to go through, that we had to endure in order to have the freedom that we have to be an independent nation, to have our own nation. And, growing up, I couldn't understand why people wanted to come to America so bad. All type of immigrants, people from all other nations, all other countries, they wanted to come to make a living here in America. My mom herself is an immigrant. She came from another country. Why? Because America is known as a free country, meaning you have freedom to speak. You can say what you want. You have freedom to be who you want to be, do what you want to do compared to the other nations. A lot of the other nations, they kept their morals, they kept their standards, they kept their ways. It was America who began to be independent and make all different kinds of laws. That's where we have the Constitution. We have different bills of right to where people actually have rights. People have rights to do different things. People have rights to abort their kids at a certain age. People have rights to abandon their kids and, neglect their kids. Hey, if you don't want to take care of your child, if you feel like you're in danger, your child is in danger, you can go and leave your child at a fire station or a hospital. If you want to be engaged in a same-sex marriage, you can do that. If you want to be a boy, but you really were born a girl, you can do that. If you want to be, in a relationship where you're not married, you can do that. You can do that. You can do that. And so over the years, we've made a lot of different changes. And although our nation stands on freedom, that has led us into a path of rebellion. That led us down a path of rebellion. Being able to be our own kind of people. In these other countries, you can't be as free as you are here. Some countries still to this day, you have to be married. You cannot be sexually engaged in a relationship unless you are married. Matter of fact, some of the nations, they start them off early. Hey, you're 16 now. It's time for you to choose a wife. It's time for you to get married. Some of the other places, it's illegal to have an abortion. It's illegal to kill your baby. It's illegal to do some of those things. But our nation has set us up to rebel, to cause there to be a rebellion in us, to where it makes us feel we don't have to submit to authority. It makes us feel like we are in control. And this is why here in America, we lack the fear of God. Compared to all the other nations, we who are supposed to be a people under God, because that's in our Constitution, a nation under God. That's on our money, and God we trust. But one of the things about America is that we have idols. We have a lot of idols. Our biggest idol here in America is money. Money has become our God. Money has replaced God Almighty. Money has allowed us to be in the debt that we are in now because of our resources, our influence. So although everything is not made in America, most of the stuff that we get, those that we are connected with as far as where we get our things from, our resources from, is China. China is our most closest connection. So we get everything from China. And so because we get everything from China, a lot of our stuff are not made here. They're made in China. So that means that a lot of our stuff that comes from China, it is made with I'm trying to go somewhere here. So I want to say the ways of China, but not the ways of China. It's like, so the spirit that runs China, governs China, that's attached to the things that we get from China. That's what I want to say. That's attached. That's attached. The fact that we get most of our things from China. And so we have so many different things here that we have become a nation that has gone so far from God. We've become very distracted And as a result of that, our influence has impacted other nations. This is why it's going to mention that they drunk up her wine. The influence that we have, most of these other nations would not be where they were had it not been America who started it off. America started it off, and that influenced other nations. So you have a lot of other countries and a lot of other nations that are starting to look like America. They're starting to resemble America. They're vouching for, freedom of rights. They're vouching for freedom of speech. And because a lot of them can't get that, they can't fully get all of what America has to offer and what America is, most of them try to come here because they have the perspective that, well, in America, I can live the American dream. I can have the American dream. I can have, rights to insurance. A lot of these poor nations, if you don't have money, then you just can't get the medical attention that you can't get the help that you need, just like the woman or the people in the Word of God who had different types of illnesses and sicknesses, and they didn't have money to go in and get the help that they needed. And I think the one lady that had an issue of blood, she spent all of her money trying to get the help that she needed. Only Jesus could offer her what she really needed. But the point that I'm making is America has created this image of what we are about, but really we are a rebellious nation. We've painted the picture to other people that America is just this great nation, and really we've rejected God. We've gone so far away from God that God doesn't speak to America anymore. And if he does, he's speaking to his sons that he has here in the earth, that he has here in this nation. He's speaking to his prophets that are here, but he's not speaking to America as a whole, except for what he told us we would get. We would get the prophet we would get the message of Jonah. So God is promising to judge this nation. This is what the Mystery Babylon is all about. It's about America and America falling. The falling of America is going to happen. The falling of this nation is going to happen. It's going to fall to the ground. We built an empire very high, like the people in the days of, those who were building the Tower of Babel. America is doing that. They're building a tower. Our technology is giving us illegal access, giving us access to demon spirits and things that we should not know of, but we have it. We have it, and technology is evolving more and more. It's evolving more and more. The rebellion, it's evolving more and more. The wickedness is evolving more and more. And you look out across the news and you see the rebellion in the land. You see how there's a lack of respect for authority. There's a lack of respect for God. There's no fear of the Lord in this land because we have been kept over the years. We've been so kept. Meaning we've not seen a judgment happen here in our nation. We've not seen war on American soil in a very long time. And so we've been kept. And that's the mercies of God that has kept us, because God is trying to give us space and time to repent. He's trying to give us space and time to repent. It says in verse 6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Yeah, do you know that America has strived very consistently and persistently to discourage the church and discourage the body? One of the ways that America has done that is in the year of 2020 with the COVID, with the pandemic, when the government discouraged the churches from remaining open. The government discouraged. It wasn't mandatory to shut the churches down or to close the doors, but it was highly influenced and highly discouraged to close the churches. We understood, and we knew, many of us that were vigilant, we understood that this was a direct attack against the church. That was persecution against the church. And so that's the drunkenness of the blood of the saints. No, if I can wear them out, if I can get them to be distracted, if I can get them to give God up, give God a break. It's 2023. Move on. Live your life. Don't you see there is no God? We don't see the hand of God so mightily here, but we also don't see the judgment of God either, meaning people feel as though if there was a God, then things wouldn't be this bad. There wouldn't be school shootings all over the place. You know, there wouldn't be children committing suicide in elementary school all over the place if there was a God. If there was a God, these things would not be happening. But it's because we've gone so far away from God. We've gone so far away from God. That's the judgment of God. That's the judgment of God, how he's allowing this nation to be given over to their idols, because when he comes and pours out his wrath, it's going to be fierce. It's going to be fierce. It says, and with the blood of the mortals of Jesus, those who have gone before us, who were persecuted, who died for their faith, you know, who were tormented and afflicted for what they believe. That's what that's talking about. And it says, and when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. That's the attraction that this woman has. She was being governed by an unclean spirit. You don't know that the demon that's over America, that the demon that runs America is attractive? You don't know that this demon spirit that's over this nation. So there are different principalities in different parts of the United States. But then there's a strong man that's over the actual nation. That's the principality over the nation. You don't know that this principality that runs the United States, that's over the United States, you don't know that this spirit, this unclean spirit has influence? Oh no, this unclean spirit has influence. Because whenever there's a new law that says you can marry your cousin, whenever there's a new law that says you can marry your daughter although you're her father, then that makes room for all the other nations to start doing it now. That makes it, you know, easier for the other nations to start, you know, doing abortions. Now, wait a minute, this was banned over here. But people have fought so that they can go and abort people, not abort, but abort their babies, which is people, like America does. America has influence. You know, people look to America. America is that nation that people look to have the best life. Even if they can't get here, they're looking to. They dream about America. They dream about the American dream because of the belief and the perspective that America has built up all across the world. They want to come to America. You know, that's what happened to the people on the Titanic. They were on their way. I forget where they were coming from. Maybe Italy? I forget where they were coming from, but they were headed to New York. They were headed to New York to live the American dream. Most of them on that boat, not everybody was rich. Some of them were very poor. And so they had to believe that coming to America, there was hope for them. There was hope for them if they come to America. There's a possibility that they can get a job. You know, they can get Medicaid. They can get medical attention. They can find a family. You know, they can find hope. They can find different things here. And many of them that they did not make it. I believe April 17th, April something, I forget the year. But those people were on their way to America with a belief that they were going to have the American dream, because that's the picture that America has painted for the rest of the world. For the rest of the world. And now that we've allowed other religions in here, we've allowed other beliefs, we've allowed other people's ideas to come in. Yeah, that's that China technology. That's that alien technology that we got. Most of our devices come from China. Yeah, those people in China, they communicate with demons. They communicate with demons, and they make your phone, they make your computer, they make your TV, your smart TV that talks to you. They make your trash can that talks to you. They make your vacuum that talks to you. They talk to unclean spirits. That's here in America. That's here in America. We've become so blinded because of the unclean spirits that we so readily interact with, that has taken control over us. And so there's a rebellion in the land. There's a lack of the hunger of God. There's a lack of the fear of God. And so when the Lord does bring judgment, he's going to allow war on the American soil. Many people have prophesied it. Many people have had dreams and different visions and different words from angels that they've encountered of them being notified of what's going to happen in America. So America will fall. We think that September 11, 2001 was was bad, and it was. It changed the world. It changed the world. That's why we have security everywhere now. It changed the world. That's why, things at the airport are different now. It changed the world. It shook the world. It actually caused a lot of people in that year to turn to God. Why does God have to cause a catastrophic shaking in a place in order for people to yield and to surrender and to actually begin to hear his voice? He's been speaking. God is speaking even now. He's speaking through the mouths of his prophets. But, people are not going to be able to hear it in that way. You know how sometimes you just can't get through to a person? They have to go and actually hit their head. They have to go and actually hit themselves. They have to go and actually stub their toe. They have to go and actually get cut. That's how America is. That's how America has become. They're not hearing God. But they're not going to hear God if it's not too late until the nation falls. Until there's that shaking. And so he wondered at her grace. He was impressed. He was impressed. Wow, this woman that's sitting on this beast is amazing. There's something about her. Yeah, the spirit that's on her that gave her influence, that made her attractive, that made her seductive and being able to draw people in, draw the nations in. And the angel said unto her, wherefore does this marvel you? Why are you marveled? Why are you just impressed with this woman? It says, I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw, was it not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition? Perdition, the Bible describes perdition. It describes the son of perdition, but it describes a place of punishment, hell, a place of torment. Yet the son of perdition, the son of the devil, the son of hell. This beast is going to ascend out of the bottomless pits and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. They're going to be amazed at this beast. There's a spirit that's going to be on this beast. That's going to be given power to this beast to have the kind of influence that it's going to have. And it says, whose names were not written in the book of life, because they took the mark of the beast. They hated God. They rejected God. They blasphemed God. In the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was, and is not, and yet is, and here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there were 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he had come, he must continue a short space. Yeah, that's Satan. Or the Antichrist, I'm sorry. That's the Antichrist. That is the Antichrist. All the others have fallen. But there is one that is going to rise, and he will be given power. He will be given influence. And if we are not grounded and rooted in the Lord, then we are going to be given over to that strong delusion. We are going to be pulled. Our emotions are going to be tried. They are going to be pulled in different directions. And if we can't control what's happening on the inside, then how are you going to control the outside? How are you going to be able to control yourself if you are not even dealing with the lust that is already in your heart? If you're not dealing with the fear that's already in your heart? If you're not dealing with the pride that's already in your heart? How are you then going to overcome in those times that are going to be a lot harder? If you're not even dealing with the smaller areas, now the Lord is saying, hey, there's offense there. Deal with the offense. Hey, there's bitterness there. Deal with the bitterness. Hey, there's disagreement there. Deal with the disagreement. If you can't even, address those things, overcome the inside, then how are you going to stand in these times where one is going to rise and be given power? Although he's going to reign for a short period of time, how are you going to stand in these days? If you're not standing now, if you're unstable now, how do you know you are going to stand in these times? You need to know. You need to know. Listen, I don't understand all of the revelation in this chapter, but what I do know is that America will fall. America will fall. And those who claim to be Christian, claim to know God, their hearts, what's in their hearts is going to be put to the test. And what's in there is going to come out, whether it be good or bad. What's in your heart is going to come out. It's going to come out. You're going to be given the opportunity to portray what's in your heart and what you really believe, who you really are, whether you are a son of perdition or a son of God. That's going to come out. That's going to be seen. That's going to be seen. And so it says, "And the beast that was and is, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goes into perdition, that place of punishment and torture. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet." They don't have a kingdom yet, "but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast." They're going to be given a place, a position to rule and reign alongside the beast for an hour. "These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." Yeah, everybody, as the world is slowly making its way to a one world government, martial law and different things of that sort, one law, everybody being of one mind, everybody agreeing on one God. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. You're going to have all of these other nations. That's the different kings. All of these other nations are going to join together. They're all going to agree. They're all going to be governed by the same spirit. They're going to reign alongside this beast. It says, "and shall give their power and strength unto the beast." They're going to give up their place. Yeah, because they're going to worship the beast too. They're going to be controlled by the beast too. They're going to be deceived too. They're going to be deceived. And so America is going to fall. America is going to fall. And when it falls, you need to know where you stand. Are you going to be the one, tossed to and fro and caught up with the destruction, caught up with the chaos, caught up with the madness, caught up with the evil that's going to be happening? It's going to be bad. You think things are bad now. You think the school shootings are bad. The suicide rate that's going up is bad. Those that live in fornication and live outside of the marriage covenant, you think that that's bad. You think same-sex marriage is bad. You think people getting shot at church and in the grocery store and at the movie theater, you think these things are bad. Jesus said that in the last days, the hearts of many are going to wax cold. People's hearts are going to become more wicked. People's hearts are going to become more cold. There's not going to be a fear of the Lord. And so you think that people are going to have sympathy and pity for you? It's a dog-eat-dog world, and it's only getting darker. It's only going to get darker. It's going to get darker. Jesus said, Word of God says how the sun is going to be darkened and will not give her light. The moon will be turned into blood. What do you think that's going to look like? What do you think that's going to do to people? Darkness speaks. Darkness speaks. It communicates. Just like you can see darkness on a person, you can see that there's no life in that person. There's no life. There's no life. There's a fear that's there. There's a fear. There's a loneliness. There's a discouragement. There's a depression. That's what's going to be in the earth. People are not going to want to live anymore. People are not going to want to live at all. They're not going to want to live for hope. They're not going to want to live for their children. They're not going to want to live for anyone. People are going to be taking their lives in the last and evil days. People are already doing that in these other nations. You don't know that the suicide rate in the other nations is going up. What is happening? Satan, because he knows his time is short, he's speaking a lot more. He's speaking a lot more. And one of the ways that he's doing that is through influence and through demonic technology, alien technology. He's doing that. Influence, he's doing that. And he's using America as the puppet to do it through. He's using America. Why? Because America has influence. America has influence, meaning it causes other nations to react to the decisions that are being made here in this nation. And so it's going to fall. It's going to be hit at its core. And when it falls, it's going to crumble all down. It's going to crumble all down. War is going to happen on American soil. There's going to be population control where there's food shortages and you're limited to what you are allowed to have, what you are allowed to give. The money is going to lose its value. You know, you don't see that. You don't notice that the dollar is slowly losing its value and everything is digital now. Everything is digital. Every year that gets more and more demonic. That increases more and more. You know, it started off with the little plastic card and then it went to a chip and now it's on the phone and, you know, you don't even have to have a card no more. You could just have your phone. Pretty soon, it's going to be in your hand and in your forehead. And they are already doing different things like that. They're already doing different things like that. America's influence is what's going to cause it to fall. And it's rebellion against God. The nation will fall. There will be catastrophic storms and earthquakes and different things of that sort. That is going to happen. Jesus, we need grace.